The State of School 4. I think this is the fourth in this series. I'm beginning to get quite fond of this series, this venue, sitting here so comfortable and telling you about the school, the Camp Ranch campus of Frank School, or Frank School in general. I want to go on with the idea of the Amish. I mentioned in the last one that a big change has been Amish. A population of Amish have been attracted to Dutch Corner, and they're arriving, and with them their whole culture. And I'm excited about it. Well, there's a connection to me through Grandpa Jim. That's going to be my subject, I guess. Grandpa Jim. He's my grandfather. He was not Amish. I can't say I ever saw him on a horse or driving a team of mules or horses. But he clearly was heavily influenced by them, I think. He didn't own a tractor. He bought this land for reasons I told you because of, in a sense, it ended up in memoriam for his son, Frank, for whom I was named, pilot, shot down in World War II, who had asked his father, Grandpa Jim, to buy him some land. And you know, he lived out his life working with this land a little bit like a plaything in a way. But here he had no tractor. He had a team of mules. Before that, his neighbor had a team of mules whom he hired full-time, eventually full-time, I believe, to work this land with a team of mules, mostly bringing logs down out of the mountain. But more than that, I mean, mowing the pasture. I don't know that he ever plowed with the mules. And then he had his own. And at that point, he had a hired hand who lived right in this very spot where I'm sitting right now. Aaron Snowberger was the one I think I knew who could work these mules. He had a stone wagon, he called it, that he moved stuff about. He didn't much own the equipment necessary to work with animals. But, you know, this was at a time where he could have, no doubt, decided to go with a tractor, but he didn't. Why? Well, I think one thing I've suspected is he realized that this ground was not good enough, it was not fertile enough to support a farm. This was always called by my cousins and family as the ranch. And because of that, Camp Ranch Lane is what goes by the house, and Camp Ranch Campus is what I call this area. I always wanted it to be a farm, but I think Grandpa Jim maybe realized he'd studied agriculture at Penn State, and he was a milk inspector. He never spent a night here. Actually, he lived in Roaring Spring. But anyway, there was a connection to the Amish culture, I'm sure, in his mind. I maybe told you he was a Presbyterian. He was not Amish. I'm sure he couldn't speak the language, but there was a connection to it. And I tap into that, trying to explore that, when in one of my videos, which I'll give you a link to, there's a whole series called Hydra in My Head, in which I try to sort out what was going on in my head as I grew up and ended up living here and stuff, and what were those influences. And I started really with Grandpa Jim. I don't know anybody older than him. Of my mother's side of the family. I didn't know them personally. So I want to mention him, and I'll no doubt come back to him. But now, with the arrival of these Amish, there's a connection going on in my mind between what I was barely exposed to as a youngster to what has now arrived.